Since the conflict in Ukraine began, Russia's military strategy has evolved, with noticeable restraint in conducting large-scale operations. Why has Russia chosen this approach? In this video, we'll explore the reasons behind Russia's tactical decisions in Ukraine and what it means for the ongoing conflict. Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, expecting a swift victory. However, the Ukrainian resistance, backed by Western military support, proved far more formidable than anticipated. The setbacks faced by Russian forces in the early stages of the war forced Moscow to reassess its strategy. Conducting large-scale operations requires extensive logistical support, something that Russia has struggled with in Ukraine. The vast distances, damaged infrastructure, and the need to sustain troops over a prolonged period have all created significant challenges. By avoiding large-scale operations, Russia can manage its resources more effectively and maintain a stronger supply chain. Using drones in the war makes the war more complicated. This results in supply lines being much more vulnerable, which in turn demands additional efforts from the Russian military. Ukraine has received significant assistance in drones, making this a considerable challenge for the Russian position. However, the Russians have greatly improved, so after the surprises and losses they faced in 2022, they are now much better at countering drone threats. On the other hand, each new generation of drones has a greater range and more lethal capabilities. Russia's decision to avoid large-scale operations is also influenced by the political and economic pressures it faces. International sanctions have severely impacted the Russian economy, limiting its ability to sustain a prolonged, intensive military campaign. Additionally, large-scale operations could further destabilize domestic support for the war, which the Kremlin is keen to avoid. Instead of large-scale operations, Russia has shifted to a strategy of attrition and localized advances. By focusing on smaller, more controlled battles, Russia aims to wear down Ukrainian forces over time, minimizing its own casualties and conserving resources. This approach also allows Russia to maintain pressure on multiple fronts without overstretching its military capabilities. Another factor in Russia's strategy is the use of mercenaries and proxy forces. Groups like the Wagner Group and regional militias have been deployed to carry out operations that the regular Russian military might avoid. This allows Russia to conduct aggressive actions without committing its own troops to large-scale engagements, thereby reducing the risk of heavy casualties. On the international stage, Russia is acutely aware of the risks associated with large-scale operations, particularly the potential for escalation with NATO. By avoiding such actions, Russia reduces the likelihood of triggering a broader conflict. Additionally, the threat of nuclear deterrence plays a critical role in keeping the conflict limited, as both sides are cautious not to push the boundaries too far. Ukraine is fighting only one enemy, and that is Russia. This enemy is larger and stronger, but the Ukrainians can count on that. On the other hand, Russia is fighting against Ukraine, but in every move, it must always consider the possibility of escalation and the potential for a deeper conflict with NATO countries or their proxies. This means that Russia must maintain larger strategic reserves, avoid significant losses, and refrain from using all of its weaponry. For example, the Russians have tested long-range missiles, but they always need to keep some in reserve. On the front lines, Russia has a large number of tanks, but they must consider the possibility of new fronts opening, which would require additional tanks on those potential fronts. All of this makes the Russians much more restrained, avoiding large-scale operations, among other reasons, because they could incur significant losses in both equipment and personnel. Losses in equipment would weaken Russia on the international stage, while losses in personnel would lead to increased tensions within Russian society. In conclusion, Russia's avoidance of large-scale operations in Ukraine is a calculated decision influenced by logistical, political, and international factors. While this approach may prolong the conflict, it also reflects the complexities of modern warfare and the delicate balance of power in the region. The future of the conflict remains uncertain, but understanding these dynamics is crucial for grasping the broader geopolitical picture. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more in-depth analysis on global events. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below.